Welcome back to part 27 of Death End Request 2, where today we'll be exploring the tourist area, but not before getting our usual roundup of it's a new day and it's a new chapter, so we got a lot of new dialogue to discover. My things are going out of hand lately. Feels like I'm taking crazy pills. Me too. Honestly, I've got no clue what's going on. I have no clue what past me was going on with moving Maya around like that. But we have to stay strong, okay? If you let it get to you, you'll die. Literally with this curse. Right, you're right, Mai. I'll push on. Can I ask a favor? If you do it, then I'll be fine. What is it? Could you hug me? Tightly? Oh, simple enough. Like this. Like if she just says, okay, yeah, sure. Like, oh, Mai's come such a long way of their relationship. Much better. Usually she'd just say no, but the fact that she just went, yeah, alright. You are? Glad to hear it. See, like, Mai really cares. I love their relationship and how it builds throughout the game. I know I bring it up all the time. Does it seem like Shino has a crush on Mizanashi? Yep. Everyone can see it, but I don't know if he's boyfriend material, though. Aw, it'd be so great if they started going out like you and me. But we're not dating. We're just friends. Really? After I spilled my heart out to you? Yeah. But I really do value our friendship. Oh my. Okay, thank you. Someday soon, I'll sweep you off your feet, okay? I bet you will. Hey Mai, you think I've got what it takes to hack? With enough practice, I guess so. Oh yay! I'll put in the work and be just like you. Oh, I don't know about that. You're not that good, Rotty. What? Why? You still think PC is magic? Well, Rotty, you're dumb. Makes it tough, don't you think? Meanie, I could totally do it. Yeah. I think that's the end of her dialogue. Yeah, keep going. I'll help too. Yeah, so let's go talk to Liliana, who's really taking it harder. What's wrong? Are you in pain? What hurts? No, I just feel so lost. Liliana. My journey to become an exorcist becomes more complicated day by day. I might be able to stop demons in battle, but even they have feelings. Perhaps they feel pain and joy. Are we no better than the evil we seek to destroy? Have I lost my way? Maybe Mr. Piggy only sees me as a murderer. Liliana, everyone in this world is fighting their own battle. There's no such thing as right or wrong. Circumstances drive people to do what they can to live. So where does that leave us? So stay true to yourself, that's all. When you're feeling unsure, you have to remind yourself who you're fighting for. Got it? Okay. I'll no longer let doubt win. No regrets. Good girl. My appetite always seems to come after dark. Then take these cookies. She just magics up cookies. Liliana, do you just carry these around? Like, why do you just have cookies? Yep, I keep a stash in my pocket. Please tell me they're at least wrapped up and it's not you haven't just got like a really crumbed up pocket. Oh, what a magical pocket indeed. Yes, inside there are cookies and Mr. Piggy, plus much more. Keep in mind Mr. Piggy is like her pet tarantula, I'm pretty sure. Wait, so you keep these cookies in the same pocket as Mr. Piggy? Yes. Is something wrong? On second thought, Liliana, I really shouldn't be snacking this late, so I'll pass on the cookie. Maya's like, I don't want to eat that. I see. Well, whenever you're hungry, you know whom to ask. Yeah, Rotty, not you. Sure, when the time comes, I'll take you up on it. Mai, I'm going to become it. I think that's the end of that dialogue. Oh no, it's not. Sure, but why bring it up now? Seeing this massacred town got me thinking. We need exorcists. I want to serve the people. I don't want there to be any more victims, like my mother and father. Leliana, I believe in you, but first, we need to escape from this town. Okay. Demons. I never thought they were real, but now's no time for skepticism. Now it's the end. Now she hasn't got anything new to say. Why don't you rest? Okay, yep. So the camera zooms out. Time to pick up our side quest because it's a new chapter. 2 of them you can get done today. The other 2 you'll be doing tomorrow. So we've got a shopping mission and we've got another like bee head looking enemy called the Blood Bee or the Bloody Bee that has a chance to drop an item that we'll need. They are the 2 that can get done today. The other 2, one you'll be starting today, but it's another collect 3 things around the field, and 2 of them are after the field point, and the other is an optional boss that equally is only available on the next day. So the shopping mission can be done, but the drop mission we can't do yet. Well, the drop mission we're doing at the end of this part, and the other 2 just cannot be done until the next day. Sheena, your friend is kind of similar to you. This dialogue is the same regardless of who you get recruited. You think so? You're right. And if you're wondering why we didn't go talk to Sheena, Sheena doesn't have anything new to say this chapter. You're right, the atmosphere is similar, but they didn't give her any new dialogue. Maybe because we're war buddies? Kindred spirits? Regardless of who you send a text out and who arrives, that dialogue is always the same. Hey Sheena, why are you looking out for me so much? What? There's no reason for you to do this much for me, but you're exposing yourself to danger to help me. Well, a part of it is because you're cute. And the other is because we're similar. I too don't have parents. I just couldn't ignore you. Before I knew it, I was butting in. I see. And that's the only reason you need, I suppose. It's like sometimes a connection by soul is all you need, even if you don't know the person. Mai! What is it, Leliana? You and Sheena get along after all. That's not true. Mai's close with me. Alright, Rotty. Why are you getting mad? Why do you have to be mad? This part of you is cute. I didn't say it. Sheena, Mai, Leliana, you guys came from outside the town, right? Or at least the only one who's from this town, yeah. That's right. Lucky. I bet you guys have seen so many things I've never seen before. That thing Mai talks about, he, she, and stuff. Oh, there's a slight translation error is going to come up. You mean PC. I don't know why the end just got cut off. I'm sure you'd be blown away if you see it, Rotty. I'll be ready. Further along the way, Sheena, are you a mage like Mai? Like Mai? Oh, language user. I'm a little different, I guess, in your words, Rotty, I'd be more like a creator. Careful, she's gonna think you're a god. Creator? But if she thinks programmers are mages, she's gonna think you're godhood. I designed the world. Mizunagi would get that and realize it. Hey, Rotty, what's the matter? God? So this is what God is like? Yeah, I told you. Did I surprise you? I like that Sheena doesn't even deny it. She's like, okay, that's how you want to see it, sure. Sheena, what kind of whip spider do you like? Whip spider? I don't. Do you not like it? That's not true. Try not to hurt her feelings. Really? Then check this one here. I mean, no! Can't handle it. Sheena, wait! Oh, she ran off ahead. Sheena, what was your position at Enigma? Well, I was the director. Oh, director. Wow, that's amazing. And of all places, Enigma. Thanks, but everyone always helped me. Munakata was the correspondent, Rin was the secretary, Mizunaishi and Sumika were the programmers, and the illustrator was Lydia, but she can't remember the name again. Who was it again? I thought there was someone for that. What's the matter, Sheena? Nothing. But she at least remembered the first letter last time, and now it's just completely gone. She can't remember it at all. But after checking the new stuff that can be brought, because it's also a new chapter, and stuff is going to start getting pricey, there's a weapon for each character that's added every chapter, as you've probably noticed. When you beat the game, there is another new weapon added for each character, and they're 20 million each. Meaning, even if you've got the DLC, I think it's 22 million each, actually, to be precise. You can't afford all three. You have to come back after you've done the pain area, because the pain area is a huge grind, like it is in the first game, and you end up a multi-billionaire by the time you finish it, like the first game. There's no dojo in this game, though, which is not disappointing, because it encourages you to continue experimenting even more, but it is something that was a bit like, oh, okay. If you don't know what I'm talking about, or haven't seen my Let's Play the first game, there is a thing called the dojo that once you reach the final chapter you could buy. It cost a lot, it was like 6 million. I also clear out the episode chart so far as well while I'm at it for the extra goodies. But if you brought it, any skill you had yet to unlock, it gave you. So everyone got 100% on their skill list, so you could see what every single skill everyone had and use them freely. But it was only available when you got to the final chapter, and if you had 6 odd million any to buy it. It doesn't exist in this game outright, they just completely got rid of it. So the only way you're ever getting all the skills is by manually experimenting and doing it properly. There's no way to just buy your way to victory. Which I said, I'm neither here nor there with it. Like, I never minded its existence, and I never minded its not existence. It's just what it is. As you can see, there's a lot to pick up, and the amount of any you get for this, it's not much, but it builds up over time, so it's always worth cleaning them up and trying to go for the extra events. Or things like that, like getting the iron wall thing. And always do the death ends, because the stuff you get for the death ends is always worth it. We don't actually have that many death ends left. I think, off the top of my head, there are 2 left for us to get. Because there's one in this chapter, and one in the next. Early in the next. And I'm going to warn you now, if you've been playing it yourself or following along, and you've seen my warnings at the start of each part that I put just before the intro of saying this game can get a bit much sometimes, and you've kind of watched through and gone, it's not that bad, it's not that dark. Like, it's dark because characters get killed and like things are miserable, but it's not like suffocatingly dark. I'm going to warn you right now, this is the last chapter you will think that. Chapter 8, I won't go into any details obviously, but Chapter 8 is one of the most miserable fucking chapters I have ever experienced in a video game ever. It genuinely is, and it just keeps on escalating from there. Like, Chapter 8, on my first playthrough, I had to walk away halfway through Chapter 8 because it's just so goddamn constant misery. But I'm leaving it there because I don't want to spoil anything. So let's press on to the tourist area and actually be able to explore it, because the last time we visited the tourist area we didn't touch it really. We scamped the edge to go to the lakeside area when we was looking for Victoria and Chizuba. It's still further. Keep it up, guys. And it's why, if you were first here, you might have been in the same mindset I was of, this track sounds like a later game track than either areas it's connected to. That's because it is. The cookie was delicious. That cookie is from Rotti. Liliana, keep it to a minimum, alright? But this area you don't go to until this chapter, Chapter 7. And it's also the second to last new area of town we'll get to explore. You might have noticed, since the word go, I think it's the residential area to the left has never been available to us. That will become available to us in the next chapter. which is following the same pattern of the first game, where when you get to the second half of the game, it's more returning to old areas with new things, or returning to new areas, new parts of old areas, and then at the end you start getting more new stuff. Also, starting this chapter, the normal battle theme changes. Take a listen.
It's my turn. Retrieving information. Okay. An advantage. Lucky.
Although I ultimately prefer the battle theme that's played up until this point, for like the whole game up until now, I understand the shift to this theme, because this theme is more representative of how it's going to become from this point onwards. I think they were a chapter too soon on adding it, but I also understand that they probably wanted to get this in at some point, otherwise it's not going to play for that much of the game. And it already isn't going to play that much of the game. You play like 70% of the game with the normal battle theme, and then the last 30 with this. I was like, this is an alright battle theme. I like it. I just think the main battle theme, the one that played before it up until now, is just eons better. It's my favourite battle theme of both games, is the other one. And then I'd say from there it's the original game, then it's this one. And that's not to say this one's bad. I just think it's just not as good. But it is more fitting to the circumstance and scenario. Doesn't matter where you go in town or what you encounter, that is the new battle theme that is now going to be taking over for the rest of the game. You won't hear the main battle theme again. There's a new hack spot over here that you can get, and you can see behind that car there's something glowing with a chest. I'll focus on it for a second, but it won't count because the car's in the way. You need to find a different computer to look at it to trigger that chest. But there is a code for us to pick up as well, so you're going to see me get that, and the code is for actually a little bit of a hike away. And although you have no reason to really forget, if you run into that enemy you might get enough reasons to forget having to worry about that fight. But because the code is the same on every run, it might be more tempting to start writing these codes down. Especially if you're planning on going into New Game Plus, and especially if you're going to do speedruns of this game. Which I am still very tempted to go into, because I love this game so goddamn much. I want to see if you can speedrun it. I'd probably also do a New Game Plus speedrun first to get a feel for things, so I don't have to worry about the encounters, and they can just be from boss to boss to boss. But I'd still be kind of curious to see how this game would function if you went to speedrun it. The only thing I'd need to do beforehand, though, is actually go up my radar down and write all the codes, so I wouldn't have to touch a single PC. The only PCs I need to touch is the ones that are for chests that I need to pick up to get access to the rest of the plot. And there will also be a couple things like certain choices, like instead of doing the fights last chapter, letting Elizabeth and Mercy get killed, because you then save yourself a bunch of fights. It's just faster. And presumably something similar when it came to Anne and Sarah way back when in chapter 3, where if you if you dealt with the house, they would die. That would reduce the amount of scenes as well, I think, even if you have to add the extra one of them repairing the house and while stopping it from burning. I don't know, I'd work it out when I look into it. Probably won't do it straight away because I've done 3 playthroughs of this game back to back. And it's a decent length JRPG, and I haven't even got to the pain area, which I already know is going to exhaust me going through, because it exhausted me on my blind playthrough, because it's just so much longer and more challenging in this game than it was in the first. And as you know, I didn't really like it in the first game, so I found it very repetitive. And they just made it the same but harder, so it just takes longer. Especially some of those boss fights. My god, some of those boss fights are going to be videos in of themselves. And I do not look forward to that. It's like I managed to get it down to 5 videos last time, and I don't see how I'm going to do it again next on this one. And when they inevitably bring it back in the 3rd game, I don't know how they're going to handle it, but I hope they balance it out a bit better. I think it's because it's been in both this one and the last one, they have to bring it along for the 3rd round as well. It's just, it needs work. It feels too redundant and repetitive. I like what they try and do in this, because they introduce puzzles to it every now and then to try and spice it up a little, to try and make it so it's not just fights. But the fights are so much more difficult and longer, like each fight takes you like 10 to 20 minutes sometimes, that the puzzles aren't appreciated. You don't want to waste more time in the pain area. If you want to take a break from it, you'll wait till you get to a save point and then just come away. Or once you've reached one, you'll eventually get into the habit of just retreating back to it every fight, because you can and nothing's stopping you, and it won't reset any fights by doing so. But we picked up a new ring. It's not helpful enough. You're going to see me kind of mess around with my inventory a little bit during this, because I'm more getting prepared for not just this chapter but the next one, because chapter 8's got a few tougher fights that if you're not prepared for will wipe the floor of you. So you're going to see me kind of experiment around a little bit more and kind of feel it out to try and find different things to give the party. But also understand that after this chapter, for reasons that will become clear as we go on, your options and where you can go and what you can do are going to start to become more limited. I will mention it more clearly next on the next day, but the next night of this is the last night where you have complete freedom, where you have a full party and complete freedom. So I'm going to recommend, when we get to it, and so I'll mention it again when we get to it, that you leave a spare save, so if you want to just go freely explore, you can. Because the moment you go into chapter 8, the plot starts to narrow down and it starts to restrict where you can go. And by the time you get to the final chapter, you're literally locked into the final dungeon until you are done. In the same vein as you're locked in Odyssea. Well, you weren't locked in Odyssea, you were locked to the Odyssean volcano temple area. There's that zone of the map, because you weren't allowed to quick travel. And the only way to get to that zone was through quick traveling. Because it was disconnected from like the rest of it, like the Godot city and the palace and the forest, etc. And the harbour. Like, it was disconnected from that. So because you had your quick travel gone, the moment you went into chapter 11 in the first game, you couldn't access it. So I made a point of saying, like, about halfway through chapter 10, save here if you want to go explore the world afterwards. And I used that specific save to get access to the pain area. I won't do the same on this. Like, I have left spare save, but I won't do the same on this, because the pain area is only accessible if you have all 3 members of your party there. It's also only accessible if you can get to that phone at the starting point. As I said, in the final chapter you're locked in, but for a large chunk of chapter 8 you don't have access to your full party. So that means the party you have and the levels you have at chapter 7 would be the levels you'd be entering at, which is just far too underleveled. Which means I will be speedrunning anyway, because once I do my recording of this and do the main game, I'll be racing to about halfway through chapter 3 when Liliana joins before I can even do the pain area. So there might be a bit of a gap between the ending of this and going into the pain area, because I then need to actually, you know, record it, and that's going to take a while, because I'll probably do a lot of editing. And like with the first game, because it's so repetitive but all necessary, outside of the bosses, I'm going to prioritize just trying to talk about different subjects. Especially because, what day is it today as I am recording this? It's the 27th. We are a week and a day away from the 5th anniversary of me doing Let's Plays. Just beyond this point, just a little longer. Keep it up, guys. Okay. And I want to do a special video for it. So a week and a day from now, it's going to be the 5th anniversary since the day I uploaded part 1 of Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition. Which is quite a journey in of itself when you think about it. But because we're so close to it, like I said, I'm going to do something for it. There's your first Ragged Claw, or Ragged Claw. There's 3 of them, but you can only get 1 this side of the day, because the cutscene that ends the day is before the other 2. So don't worry about it too much. There's also this enemy over here that's defensive as all hell, but if you can get 1 good critical hit in, it just one-shots it. Also worth mentioning, if you're really if you don't really want to keep on grinding out the side quests, but you want to see all the scenes, you're very close to not having to worry about that anymore. There are I'm about to say cutscenes, but no, there are side quests for cutscenes in some of chapter 8, and there are also side quests in the last chapters of the game onwards, but they're gonna stop mattering. Halfway through chapter 8 it stops mattering, because there will be no more scenes with the kids in the thing, so it won't matter anymore. So if you're really not that fussed and you just want to see the scenes, you can stop worrying about them coming soon. But at least for this chapter, you still need to if you want to see everything. Especially because if you don't do all of them, and you're not in New Game Plus, the last day that has optional scenes will outright give you 0 optional scenes. I'm not kidding. You will get to the last day, and it will, like the last day that has the ability for you to wander around the dormitory, and you will notice quickly it's like you can't talk to anyone. There are 0 people to interact with. No one wants to chat to you, and you're like, okay, huh? But when you're in New Game Plus and you do every single scene, then there's like 4 or 5 scenes there.
What is it?
Also, we've got a gold hair ornament, and you don't see me like equip it on anyone. I don't even think I investigate it yet, but it is nice to have because it's just an extra step up on the ornaments where it's just a generalized boost. This computer's for the wall that's just behind you, which you want to access because there's both a chest, which is a weapon for Mai. Not a great weapon for Mai, but it's still a new weapon. But as you can see, like, it's good for magic attack, but it's not fantastic. And another curse ball so you can progress onwards. This area is also an area where a mini game only available in New Game Plus, or if you've at least got one completed save like on your system, takes place, which I will be showing off. I don't know if I'll show it off once I beat the main game, or if I'll show it off a bit sooner. I'm still undecided. Like, I'm half tempted to show it off at the start of Chapter 8, just to be a pace breaker, because even at the start of Chapter 8, shit gets dark. And you're going to see, this here is the first instance you are likely to have with this enemy, and it's right before the end of the scene. This is the enemy that drops the item you are looking for the side quest. You only need one. This thing only has a 30% chance of dropping it though. Which is annoying, because you're going to see me kill it and it not drop it. Something I might as well specify whilst I got a minute to do so. Anytime I give you percentages, it's based on my own experimentations. There are no real statistics you can find right now. I have just done an insane amount of studies and speculations and efforts, and then made a generalized percentage for myself. That, I tend to get it around about 1 every 3 fights, so I want to say between 30 to 33. But that being said, 2 fights later, I eventually got one. If you want them to respawn, your best bet is to outright leave the area, backtrack out of this zone, it's not that long. But that being said, next time on Death End Request 2, we'll continue our journey through the tourist area to try and find a way out that Celica came in from. Or sorry, Chloe Aaron came in from. But until then, you guys take care now. Peace.
Let's head out.